Right, so hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, a short training on looking at the psychology needed to grow your business. Now, today's about developing the beginnings of a personal growth map. It's the first steps, and I think that's really essential to understand because I find that a lot of people skip over this big concept that I'm going to talk about. So today I want to give it my full attention and get you to think about it some more too. So the plan today, guys, that's going to be 40 minutes with me, with possibly 5 to 10 minutes Q&A. We'll see how things work out. But I do want to do this. I want to share one of the most important concepts that I think all human beings should understand, especially when they run a business. I want to give you 3 actionable steps that will help you to start thinking about what you do and building out your own personal growth map. And then thirdly, I'd like to demonstrate the psychology that's needed to grow your business. So that's the overarching theme, because you don't really grow the business, you grow the owner. Think about that one. Now, here's a little bit about me. I'm a qualified UK psychotherapist and a coach. I qualified a long time ago, but 2005. I'm not quite a dinosaur. I do keep up to date with stuff. So this was a good time for me. I was transitioning from being an employee to being the employer and being my own boss. I started my own business in 2012, and then I produced a book in 2021 called Navigating Stress, published by Trigger Publication, a really well-known mental health company and organization in the UK. And I've supported hundreds of clients just in reducing stress, reducing anxiety, depression, all of these things that human beings have, the human condition, and on the way, increasing their emotional intelligence, their self-confidence, and their self-esteem. I know that the biggest things that I come across are around having the courage and the confidence and the clarity to do what you think is right and to be yourself. It's a huge thing. So let's figure out what junk you have in the trunk. And I'm talking about the psychology that's needed um, to make you better, but the psychology that might be holding you back in your business and stopping you from having the success that you want. So I'm going to do a quick assessment first. Before you do anything, you do have to work out where you are. Any good trip, where am I? Point A, point B, where am I trying to get to? So let's do a quick assessment. I want you to just think about on a scale of 1 to 10, how aware you are of your psychology. And I'm talking about the mental and the emotional junk in your trunk. So here's a scale 1 to 10. Look at this. If you're totally unaware, you'll be down the far left-hand side. If you're totally aware, you'll be up at the 10. So I'll give you a couple of seconds, like 5, to work out what figure you're going to choose. And then we're going to move on. And perhaps you can drop some information in the chat for me so that I can see what's happening as well. So I can see a couple of 8s, some very, very self-aware people already in the audience. That's great. Nice to see you. And the others, well, you think about what rating you'd love to give yourself right this minute. In my world, everything starts with a thought. And yeah, you might be thinking, so why is that so important, Joy? That doesn't sound really like a life-shattering information, does it? Well, even the thought that you had to start your business, that was one thought that has blossomed. So thoughts are important and they can push us forward in life. They can also drag us back. And with us having 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day, we have to work out which ones are true and which ones are not, because they're not all true. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, they're not all true. And a lot of the thoughts that we have are repeated thoughts. It's not like we're generating fresh thoughts. Sometimes it's the same thought that's repeated over and over again. And I call that self-hypnotism. So why do we have thoughts in the first place? Well, thoughts are really about helping us to make sense of the world. In order to process information, and I'm talking about all the information coming in from all of our senses, from hearing, from sight, from smell, from taste, touch, um, we have to process that, but we have to label it before we can do something sensible with it and put it away. Now, human beings are meaning-making machines, which is interesting. So we're always asking, what's this about? Why? How? When? Where? Gathering as much data as we can with each input. It can be done consciously, and hopefully, if you're paying attention today, we're conscious. Yay, we're paying attention to me, which is great. But it can be done automatically. And that means our subconscious mind is taking over the show and it's running things for you. So, like I said, we're meaning-making machines. It's not the events in life that are the problem. You know, things happen, and the same situation could happen to me. It could also happen to you, but we could have a different kind of outcome and a different outlook. Why is that? It's because it's what we make things mean. So meaning-making machines, as I just said, is what we make things mean and mean about us. What are we saying to ourselves about us? And what are we making it mean about other people in our world? Could be our clients, could be our colleagues. And what are we making it mean about the situation? So I want you to notice that we do tell ourselves an awful lot of stories about the way things are, about our circumstances. And do we ever check whether any of those ideas are true? Now imagine a thought as a unit of energy, and it's not scientifically a unit of energy because that's what we do with calories and kilojoules, they're proper measurements. But thoughts are electrical impulses that can be seen by a proper scientist or a doctor because it creates this electrical impulse, which can be viewed by using an ECG, which is an electroencephalogram. I'm glad I managed to say that. I've been practicing that all day. Yeah. So it fires these electrical impulses. It can be seen, and different parts of our brain lights up depending on, what we're thinking. It's a light. So neuron to neuron speak. That's what's happening in our brain. Little bit of communication between each neuron. And as it talks to the other one, it fires and it shows up as an electrical impulse. And that will then affect our behavior, what we do, influences it. And then it can influence our feelings and then the outcomes that we get in life. So the results that we get in life. There's quite a big impact of just having that one thought. I want you to imagine that your brain is a black filing cabinet. Now, it's a strange concept, just stay with me. But if it were a black filing cabinet, what are you putting in there? And how exactly are you filing it all away? In the brain, it's stored in different places. It's stored in the cortex and the hippocampus. These are different parts of our brain that stores different elements of what we do. But I want you to think about it as being that little black box. All the thoughts are waiting to be filed away, different thoughts, pink thoughts, brown thoughts, yellow thoughts, blue thoughts. And the brain is very good at trying to keep things together, which is why when we recall things, you get things coming back in clumps. It sort of remembers everything that you did when you went out and you were down by the duck pond, or it remembers everything that you did when you were, watching a certain TV program or having certain conversations. It tries to be good at filing. Now, I'm not that brilliant at filing, even though I was a PA, personal assistant in the distant past. Yeah, it's interesting. My filing is not brilliant. The brain tries to do its best, and this is the little black box, putting things away, hopefully in the right place. And 90% of our responses are automatic. So that subconscious mind that I mentioned It's running the show for us a lot of the time. We're not always consciously aware of it. And that would be the reason why we sometimes say, are you being present? So right now, me, you, me, we're being present. And the fact that we are doing things on automatic, it makes it really hard to break things. We can't break the habits and the patterns that we have. It just can be hard. And you might not believe me right now. So I would like you to do this little experiment. I would like you to cross your arms the way you do normally. I'll do it too. Then I'd like you to uncross them. Now I want you to cross them again, but this time do it with the opposite arm, the other way around. So if it was left over right, it's right over left, all that kind of stuff. So try it again the other way around. I want you to keep holding that position for about 5-ish seconds, 5 to 10 seconds. Think about what you're feeling. Yeah, what your brain's doing, what thoughts you're having. Great. Thank you for bearing with me on that. Now, what did you notice? Perhaps you felt uncomfortable. Perhaps it was awkward. Perhaps this felt very, very unfamiliar because your subconscious is doing a lot of the work. And when we do things differently, it spots it and it goes, hey, hey, this isn't the right way, guys. We don't do it like this. There might have been a little bit of mental confusion. What the hell's happening in here? But our brain is pretty smart. It's set this up so that it can be any energy efficient. It's an energy efficient way. The brain does take up, uses an awful lot of energy from our body. About 20% of our energy goes towards this little thing, this little 3 pound mass inside our brain. So, yeah, the unconscious is working automatically, breaking even a habit like crossing your arm in a slightly different way. That was hard. So we form all these familiar patterns and they're called mental shortcuts. There's another word called heuristics, which I don't really use because I can never remember it, but you might see it written down, Heuristics, heuristics. Sounds a bit French, I'm not sure, but it's mental shortcuts. The brain is very good at doing this because it wants to save energy. You don't want to remember how to brush your teeth every morning, every evening, how many times you do that a day. You don't want to remember how to drive your car every time you get into it. You don't want to remember things which are regular occurrences because you'd be spending the energy on doing that. So the brain will put that onto automatic. Now, everything starts with a thought, and hopefully you're recognizing that thoughts do influence the way that we behave and the way that we feel. So what's in the filing cabinet? What's in your filing cabinet? That little black box inside your brain, because we don't question that enough. We really don't. What's in the box are all the influences from the outside world. People that you know, places you've been, things you've done, people that can influence us, other things that can influence us. We've got parents, we've got friends, teachers, partners, TV, school, we've got social media, huge now, isn't it? Could be a podcast that you pick up, might be a magazine that you read, or a post that you've seen. There's lots of outside influences that are putting information into our black box. We're trying to make things make sense and file things away. And the problem is that a thought grows into a belief system. And a belief system is just a thought that's repeated often. That's it. We begin to really become conditioned to do things and to respond that way. And we also carry out certain behaviors that once we're triggered by something, we'll follow through on a certain behavior. That's a learned response. So we're learning as well how to respond. We're being conditioned as well. I hope you're still with me, guys. I have to just check and just put a yes in the chat for me. That would be great. Good. I'm winning. Yep. Still with me. Great stuff. And it's making sense. So saying that it makes sense. Perfect. Now, this is a little bit about my childhood. The 8-year-old Joy and the psychology that she had. And her thinking wasn't particularly good. There was extreme thinking, exaggerated thinking, predictive thinking, everything going on there. She'd say things like, "Why does this always go wrong?" And "Bad things, they only happen to me." And "I should be able to cope with this by now. And I'm so stupid. Nobody else behaves like this. And I'm such a failure." Now, this picture is of me when I graduated. But the thing is that the thoughts that I had from that 8-year-old Joy would have also been present in this 22-year-old woman. I still had those thoughts going on. So old thoughts, old habits, old patterns, old rules, the rules that we have, we'd hold on to them. And we don't recognize that they're playing out now in our lives and therefore in your business. Nowadays, of course, I do have some strategies to deal with them. Now, these are thoughts that might mess up the psychology of an entrepreneur. Have a listen and see if you recognize any of these. I'm not cut out for this kind of stress. I'm too old or I'm too young to be taken seriously in my business. I'm just not a natural born leader. I'm not smart enough to solve this problem. No one's going to be interested in my products or my services. I should be working harder. I should be making more money by now. My business is going to fail because I'm not a natural or a good salesperson. I should be able to handle this on my own. Or I can't balance my personal life and my business life successfully. Now, all of these thoughts, where do we get them from? They're totally illogical. Like I said, we have bad habits of thinking. We generalize, we exaggerate, we do a lot of predictive thinking, we get into very fixed black and white thinking, we get very critical. These are all negative thinking habits that perhaps we don't stop and question enough. What is that one thought doing to me? Especially when it affects your business. And it can lead to some of these behaviors too. You know, what's going on? What's going on in our heads when we say things like, "I have to work late in the office today. If I don't finish this project, nobody else will." "Oh, no, I don't have any time for lunch break." Or, "Yes, I need to have my mobile phone really nearby just in case there's a problem." "Oh, I can't say no to this nightmare client, even though they are a nightmare." Or, "This business strategy is just not working out again. I'm going to have to cancel today's date with my partner, with my children, with my friends. I just have to cancel it today. And I don't have time to go to the doctors to sort out that pain in my stomach. And I really, really should make some sales calls, but I don't feel like it." Now, I recognize the last one because I do that a lot. But these are all ideas, aren't they? Where are they coming from? And if we're working on the premise that our 8-year-old self laid down some pretty interesting rules which follow us through life, I want you to question whether your 8-year-old self is running your business. That's big, isn't it? And this problem gets worse when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we're anxious. They just kick in. They're automatic and they're quick. Even though on an intellectual level, a logical level, we know they're not true, and we know that we should do better, we don't. Now, when I mentioned those 9 ideas that you might have as an entrepreneur, and they're kind of like bad psychology, there are 40 more thoughts that I've written down on a PDF, which you're welcome to. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me or to DM me and just say, PDF or thought sheet, whatever you want to say, I will get that information off to you. But I hope you're staying with me and I hope this is making sense. What would it be like if you removed that junk from the trunk? Yes. What would life be like? How different would it be? Good question. Because everything starts with a thought, and I hope you're beginning to at least be persuaded by what I'm saying to you. And just be aware what you say to yourself about the situation, and be aware that we have lots of thoughts, 50 to 70,000, huge amounts. lots of repeated thoughts, you know, thought the same thought being repeated over and over again. Some of them might not be true. Wow, what are we doing to ourselves? And this process of repeating things over and over and over again, that one thought makes it solid and it turns into a belief, your belief system about your business. So the real skill that we have to develop is recognizing the thoughts and making them smaller, minimizing the impact that they have on our business, just being more aware. So let's move on to some solutions because that little stick figure in the picture says, how can I stop this impacting my business? And does it really matter? What I know works really well is self-reflection, paying attention, that's being present, self-awareness, and doing your inner self-growth work. So, like I said, your business won't grow unless the owner grows. And perhaps we forget that when we're rushing around trying to make things happen. Our business is only as strong as we are on that emotional and mental level. Now, my first solution, let's call this the thought catcher method. I want you to go back into that black box and have a look through some of your thoughts and belief systems and work out, yeah, where did I get my information from? From my parents? Did I get it from social media? Did I get it from my religion? Did I get it from a post that I read? Where did I get this information from anyway? And I call it second-hand thoughts and second-hand beliefs because they were never yours in the first place, but somehow you've embedded them into your subconscious. You know, we don't look inside this black box enough, do we? So the truth is, we don't have a clue what's in there. So the thought catcher method is about catching those thoughts. So imagine it were some elusive butterfly. I call it a mosquito, be quite honest. I went to Jamaica 2 years ago and I got bitten really badly. I wish I'd had a process for catching them, but catch them, those little units of thoughts, and then check it when you have it. Just check it. What is it? You know, is this true? Is it false? I don't know. The next one, challenge it. So do an even deeper interrogation of that thought. That's important. And then you're able to change it. And as you can see, this little cat at the end, very, very comfortable, sitting there, chilled out with pink butterflies, having really great thoughts. So negative thoughts, of course, have been at play during all of this, this particular webinar. I've not mentioned the word negative thought up until this point, but seeing those pink butterflies, they look like really positive thoughts. And how do you catch your thoughts? Easier said than done, perhaps, but you need a process. I call it my TEA process, where you deconstruct it to reconstruct it. And you can write it down and you can draw a circle and put some points on the circle, 3 points, or your thoughts, or your actions, or your emotions, and just write down what's happening to you about a situation. Something's going to start that whole cycle off. It's going to be a trigger, an event of some sort. And then you want to write down, what was I thinking? What did that make me feel? What did that make me do? And then you want to go round again, another cycle. You know, you could also change it. What would I need to think if I wanted to feel differently? Or what would I need to feel if I wanted to behave differently? You can get really creative about what you would like to see. And this is a really good visual way to change that. And the other sheets on this page are just an example of how you fill it in. So you're going to disrupt the way that you look at things and reconstruct it and realize that when you change one part of any system, the other parts have to change. So you're monitoring your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Start asking great questions. Like I said, interrogate the thought, that challenge stage. Really interrogate that thought. This is your one chance to stop it from becoming a really big belief. Ask yourself, is it 100% true? Will I still feel like this tomorrow? Am I really in any physical danger? Is there an animal around, a wild animal? Is there flood? Is there fire? Is there another way of looking at this? What would Oprah say about this? That's me, because I like Oprah. But you could equally well say anyone in your life that you admire. It could be Superman, or it could be a dad or a mom, or just anyone on television that you admire, a celebrity. It could be your next door neighbor. Some people have really good next door neighbors. And there's more, of course, lots more questions, but I want you to ask yourself really good questions at that stage. Now, solution two for me is about managing the stress that happens when we're thinking negatively. I need you to start thinking differently about stress so you can affect the quality of the thoughts that you're having. Adrenaline is a big thing. It's a hormone that we have in our body, and it's released when we have stress. It's very motivating. It gets us moving. It gets us out of bed. But there's bad stress and there's good stress. And it's a mixture of different hormones that are happening when we are stressed, especially the adrenaline. I want you to look at stress in a slightly different way. And this is it. I would love you to think about it as channeling your stress energy in a slightly different way because you're thinking differently about it. Now, I want you to imagine there are three cups. And of course, they're teacups, TEA cups, as we just showed before, thoughts, emotions, actions. And when an event happens, you can either respond to it with your fight and flight mechanism, your survival response. And we'll have that as the red teacup. And we can operate from a place of lack when we don't have things and we feel worthless. We don't feel good about ourselves. That's our go-to place. But what if there were two other alternatives? So the second alternative is the blue cup. When an event happens to you, you challenge it. You're quite curious about it. You go out and you find information. It's the same event, but you're looking at it differently. And there's lots of science now to show that the way that we think about a problem, if we view it as being stressful, it will be stressful. If we view it as being a challenge, it's good stress, basically. And I was talking about the hormones that we have in our body. So adrenaline, obviously that's present. But when we're in that challenge space, we can get dopamine being released. And dopamine is that motivational hormone, very, very positive one too. Now, the last teacup has got yellow in it. It's yellow, basically, yellow tea. But yeah, this is a place where you connect and you either connect with other people or you help other people and you learn about trying things, failing, learning, repeating. You're happy to do that. I think this is the place where lots of entrepreneurs live, plus also the challenge place. But remember, we can revert very quickly back to the fear-based place. It all depends on what you think and the quality of that one thought. So yeah, that's a very interesting thing. A book I would encourage you to read is by a lady called Kelly McGonigal, and it will help you to look at stress in a very positive way. It's called The Upside of Stress. Voices going there. So slide number 3, challenge your old thinking and just widen your thoughts, widen the inputs that are coming in. Challenge that junk in the trunk. Look at self-help books. Try a retreat, short holiday where you're learning things. Do motivational seminars. Tony Robbins, he was one of the first people that came into my life. Do a personal development course. Do some exercise, walk, do star jumps. Get some good oxygen going to your brain so you can be creative. Do your mantra, do your affirmations to counteract some of the negative thoughts that are happening. And do anything else that helps you to break out of a space where you're being stuck in fight and flight and that fear response, and that takes you into that challenge, which was the blue cup, or into that getting things done by connecting with people, getting that oxytocin into your system, because that's what happens when we connect with people. So these are the hormones that are going to be really, really useful. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, which I hadn't mentioned, that's a mood enhancer, epinephrine, which is also like adrenaline. So these are amazing things to have in your body. So the quality of your thought does matter. Now, the bigger thing is The ideas and the thinking that got you here won't necessarily get you over there. And we're going to be limited by the quality and the management of our thinking. So when I look at the psychology that's needed to grow your business, and I say we don't grow the business, we have to grow the owner, I really mean it. Your business will be limited by your growth and your thinking. So a lot of courses that I go on and a lot of masterminds that I've been part of, it's not so much the business that's the problem. It's the owner that needs to grow. And that's the biggest takeaway that I've found from most of the courses and some of the masterminds I've been involved in. It's just been interesting that I have to grow. You have to grow if you want your business to be stronger and more resilient. So let's do that assessment just before I go. Let's get that up on the screen. So how aware are you now, right now, of your psychology? That's the mental and the emotional junk that's in your trunk. I want you to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being totally unaware, 10 being extremely aware. And let me know where you sit on that again, and I'll see if there's any change. You all started out quite high, I think. Right, someone's got an 8.5. That was better than an 8, so it's gone up by a smidgen. I'm all into that. And the others, slight changes again. I'm not saying it has to change because you've listened to me. I'm presenting you with a thought. I'm asking you to catch this thought and see what you make of it. So that's the whole point about thinking. I want you to use some of these solutions to start building your entrepreneur's personal growth map. Uh, we want long-lasting, deep, meaningful change. I personally do. And it means embracing our psychology. And with business, because things are changing all the time, we do have to develop the owner. And I do that normally with other people in terms of coaches. I work with coaches too. And expert guidance is important, the accountability is important, and the support is important. Now, frameworks are there to help us to remember things like my T framework, TEA framework, like the thought catcher framework. They're there to help you to remember things quickly. But you can go away and you can try this. But if you want to go a lot deeper, then come back to me and we can talk about stuff. And I can be that expert guide in your life to help you to grow as well. So that's all I have to say. I think I'm getting to the end of it. Just making sure that I did what I was meant to do today. I shared one of the most important concepts that I think we need to understand, that everything starts with a thought. And I want you to start building your personal growth map, giving you some ideas there, and hopefully demonstrated the psychology that's needed to grow your business. You don't grow the business, you grow the owner. And there's only so much that I can share with you in the space of 40-ish minutes. I will be doing more of these talks, hopefully. But if you want to know more, please contact me. That PDF, the 40 thoughts that can mess up your psychology, connect with me on LinkedIn or DM me, and I will send that through to you. Just say PDF or thoughts, and I'll know what you're talking about. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here today with me. These are the different ways that you can contact me. My email, which is joy@joylangley.com. There's my website, which is joylangley.com. And of course, on LinkedIn, where you'll find me under Karen Joy Langley. I'm sure you'll still find me. And then YouTube, which I'm beginning to get on top of YouTube and getting some videos out. And today's session is also about delivering some training, which I hope is useful. And going a little bit deeper into this thing that everyone seems to jump over very, very quickly, the power of our thinking, the power of our thoughts, and that everything starts with one thought. So catch up with you all very, very soon. It has been an absolute delight to be here today and to share this. And yeah, have a good day. And I do know you're going to have some questions, so feel free to drop those into the chat box and we'll do that too. Those of you that can't stay, catch up with you all soon. And remember that you can get hold of me on LinkedIn. That's Karen Joy Langley. That's the full name that you might find. But I go under the name of Joy Langley because I think it's much nicer. Speak to you all soon.